What was your thoughts about UFOs before you had met Bob Lazar?
Probably the same level of curiosity as most people, and it's always out there somewhere. Hey, I wonder what the deal is on that,
Right.
but had not really dwelled on it.
Have you ever wondered whether our skies hold secrets that even the government keeps hidden? For years, bits of testimony and grainy videos fueled more questions than answers. Pilots spoke of strange encounters. Researchers chased down leaked documents, and still nothing definitive emerged. Now, after decades of patient digging and careful reporting, a seasoned journalist has brought new evidence into the light. Here's the story of George Knapp's biggest UFO bombshell yet. Early life, education, and rise in journalism. George Knapp was born in April 1952 and grew up in New Jersey before his family moved to Northern California. As a child, he showed an early interest in public speaking and debate. In high school, he served it all as class president and competed in speech tournaments. His passion for communication led him to study at the University of the Pacific, where he earned a bachelor's degree in communication. He remained there to complete a master's, taking classes in journalism, broadcast techniques, and media ethics. After finishing his studies, Knapp worked briefly as a college instructor, teaching debate and forensics at both the University of the Pacific and at the University of West Georgia. Though he appreciated teaching, he felt drawn to hands-on reporting. In 1979, he moved to Las Vegas. He took a job driving a taxi to support himself while applying for media positions. That experience, talking daily with a wide range of people, sharpened his ear for voices and stories. In 1980, Knapp landed an internship at KLVX, the local PBS station. He cut his teeth on small feature stories, learning camera operation, editing, and script writing. Within a year, he joined KLAS TV Channel 8 as a general assignment reporter. His clear delivery and steady calm made him a favourite for live reporting. By the mid-1980s, he earned promotion to weekend anchor and took on investigative pieces for the station's I-Team. Knapp's reporting style combined thorough fieldwork with careful analysis of public records. He covered local politics, city hall scandals, organised crime in the Las Vegas area, and environmental issues. Awards began to roll in: regional Emmys for investigative reporting, Associated Press Writing Awards, and recognition from civic groups for exposing problems in water management. Over time, he added roles as anchor, producer, and on-air commentator. Knapp built a reputation for fairness. He pursued tough subjects: corruption, consumer scams, unsafe roads, while giving those accused a chance to respond. His segments were noted for clear explanations of complex issues, avoiding jargon so that everyday viewers could understand the stakes. By the late 1990s, he was one of the most recognized faces in Nevada journalism. He also developed an on-air persona known informally as the Napster, a nickname used for occasional commentary segments. Beyond television, he wrote columns for local papers, covering topics from politics to digital privacy. In parallel, he explored side interests like aviation and local history, building a network of contacts that spanned police, courts, city leaders, and private investigators. Through the 2000s, he added radio to his resume, guest hosting talk shows and filling in on news programs. His steady calm in breaking news situations, floods, fires, and major trials made him a go-to anchor for live special coverage. Viewers learned to trust his clear voice in moments of crisis. By 2025, George Knapp's journalism career spanned more than 4 decades. His awards tally includes multiple Edward R. Murrow Honours, dozens of regional Emmys, and 2 Peabody Awards. He became a mentor to younger reporters at KLAS, teaching them the nuts and bolts of investigative work, how to file a public records request, how to verify a whistleblower story, how to write tight, clear scripts under deadline. Many of his former interns and producers now lead newsrooms across the country. Through it all, Knapp never lost his drive to get to the bottom of a story. He made a point of visiting scenes in person, talking to witnesses face to face, and reading every document he could find. That thorough approach set the stage for a later turn in his career, reporting on unexplained phenomena, a beat few mainstream journalists embraced, but one where Knapp's skills would shine. Early encounters with the UFO beat and breakthrough reporting. Although George Knapp built his early career on local news, in the late 1980s he began receiving calls from individuals claiming knowledge of secret government projects involving unidentified flying objects. He treated these tips as he would any lead, with an open mind and a demand for evidence. In January 1989, he agreed to meet a man calling himself Bob Lazar, who claimed to have worked on alien craft at a site near Groom Lake, Nevada. Knapp arranged the interview at a neutral location. He asked Lazar to provide verifiable credentials, employment records, diplomas, or names of co-workers. Lazar offered scant official documentation, but he did reveal details about classified test flights and propulsion methods that sounded technical. Knapp recorded the conversation, noting Lazar's confidence and the unusual nature of his technical claims. The broadcast drew immediate attention. Viewers called in with questions. Is this for real? Does this man have proof? Knapp returned to the topic repeatedly, grilling Lazar on inconsistencies and bringing in experts, physicists, former Air Force personnel, aviation historians, to weigh the plausibility of the claims. That mix of open inquiry and skepticism became Knapp's hallmark on the UFO beat. His next major break came when he tracked down John Lear, son of famed aircraft designer Bill Lear. Lear alleged a government stash of alien bodies and craft held in secret hangars. Knapp aired those allegations, again paired with careful commentary. We can't confirm these claims yet. We are checking records and seeking official comment. This early reporting did two things for Knapp. First, it introduced Area 51 into public discourse in a serious way, beyond fringe magazines. Second, it showed that mainstream journalists could cover wild claims without losing credibility. He did not simply report UFO stories. He treated them like any investigative lead. Fact-check, seek corroboration, present conflicting views. While critics labelled some of these guests as fringe or unreliable, Knapp argued that a journalist's work was to investigate and report, not to censor. He invited skeptics onto the air as well, ensuring that listeners heard both sides. His coverage earned him a United Press International Award in 1990 for courage and individual achievement in journalism. Knapp's early UFO reports drew national interest. Major newspapers and wire services picked up his interviews. Cable news shows called him for comment. His role as a mediator between claimants and serious inquiry became clear. He offered a platform, but he grilled claims. If guests could not back up statements, he pointed it out. By the mid-1990s, Knapp was receiving hundreds of UFO-related tips each month. He sorted through those, focusing on cases with documents, witness statements from multiple credible observers, or physical evidence like radar tracks. He began collaborating with private researchers who would share data logs and photographs. In return, he would offer TV coverage and introduce them to experts who could test materials. This groundwork set the stage for Knapp's first major book-length project, a collaboration with Colm Kelleher on alleged paranormal events at a rural ranch in Utah. But before that, he used his growing profile to host weekend radio segments on UFO news and to keynote conferences attended by UFO researchers, skeptics, and former military officers. His reputation rested on a simple formula. Don't dismiss claims out of hand, but don't accept them without evidence either. Work with NIDS, Skinwalker Ranch, and extended UFO investigations. In 1996, billionaire Robert Bigelow founded the National Institute for Discovery Science, NIDS, a private research group tasked with investigating anomalous phenomena. On a recommendation from mutual contacts, Knapp joined as a media liaison and field reporter. Bigelow acquired a property in northeastern Utah, Skinwalker Ranch, after neighbors reported strange lights, sounds, and sudden animal deaths. Knapp and NIDS scientist Colm Kelleher began systematic documentation. They installed motion cameras, electromagnetic sensors, and radiation detectors around barns, corral areas, and the ranch house. They kept daily logs of events, glowing orbs in the night sky, cattle inexplicably missing, or found with clean surgical-style cuts, compass needles spinning erratically, and objects vanishing from fenced areas. Knapp travelled to the ranch regularly over several years. He recorded dozens of interviews with ranch hands, livestock owners, and Native American elders who spoke of long-standing legends of shape-shifting skinwalkers. He wove these accounts into reports that alternated between folklore context and modern sensor data. In 2005, Knapp and Kelleher published Hunt for the Skinwalker, a detailed narrative of their findings. The book combined ranch diaries, technical data, witness logs, and historical background on the Ute tribe's spiritual beliefs. Knapp's voice came through in clear, straightforward language. He avoided hype, instead describing exactly what could be verified in writing or on film. The book was a surprise hit. It brought UFO and paranormal interest into mainstream bookstores and academic libraries. Knapp gave interviews to national newspapers, radio shows, and TV programs, while skeptics criticized the work as anecdotal. Knapp welcomed debate, providing raw data files and sensor logs to anyone who requested them. Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, Knapp used his NIDS experience to investigate other hotspots. In Mexico, he traveled to sites where farm workers reported lights that drained camera batteries. In Brazil, he met with ranchers who claimed crop circles appeared overnight, though in those cases, Knapp always sought natural explanations: weather patterns, animal activity, or human pranksters. He also kept a parallel life as a hard news reporter in Las Vegas. He covered city council meetings, organized crime trials, and consumer protection cases. He balanced his paranormal work with serious local journalism, earning further acclaim and awards. That dual role, mainstream reporter and UFO investigator, gave Knapp an unusual standing. He had credentials few in his field could match. Over time, he built an archive of thousands of pages of reports, photographic plates, audio recordings, and video clips. In 2010, when Bigelow shifted NIDS's focus away from the ranch, Knapp negotiated rights to the data. He continued to release documents through his station and through podcasts, ensuring that researchers could pore over raw findings. Radio and podcast hosting. While television offered visual impact, radio gave Knapp a live channel to engage directly with listeners. Starting in 2007, he became a regular guest host on Coast to Coast AM, the late-night show that covered UFOs, conspiracies, and the paranormal. There he could take calls from around the world, fielding reports of recent sightings, directing listeners to his archived sensor data, and challenging them to provide documentation. Building on that, in 2018 he partnered with filmmaker Jeremy Corbell to launch the Weaponized podcast. Each episode featured leaked documents, often obtained under Freedom of Information Act requests, or interviews with military veterans and government whistleblowers. Listeners heard first-hand accounts of UAP incidents in Iraq, nuclear missile sites interfering with unknown craft, and encounters by Navy pilots with objects that defied known flight envelopes. Knapp's radio and podcast work stood out for its blend of technical detail and everyday language. He would ask a veteran pilot to describe cockpit instrument readings, then translate that into plain terms: speed, altitude changes, maneuverability. If a caller spoke of a plasma field, Knapp asked for specifics. Did your radiation meter register something? What brand? Over how many seconds? That insistence on detail elevated the conversation beyond rumours. His radio segments also included safety segments, tips on how to photograph fast-moving objects, advice on preserving physical evidence, and warnings about scams. Sometimes callers would claim they had secret insider files for sale. Knapp publicly discouraged that, reminding listeners that paid insider data often turned out to be fakes and that real evidence comes through official documents and credible whistleblowers. As weaponized gained popularity, it attracted attention from established outlets. Major newspapers cited Knapp's released documents when reporting on Pentagon programs. Congressional staffers began reaching out for source materials. Knapp found himself testifying before panels about the authenticity of certain leaked files, vouching for their chain of custody. Beyond UFOs, Knapp's voice on the radio was sought for other crises. When wildfires threatened Nevada towns, he provided evacuation updates. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he joined health experts on air to explain safety guidelines. That versatility reinforced his image as a trusted local figure, not just a fringe investigator. Key claims and public revelations. Over the years, George Knapp brought several high-impact claims to public view. His 1989 Lazar interviews remain a landmark in UFO journalism. Lazar's description of gravity wave amplifiers and secret hangars at Area 51 sparked international debate and prompted official denials that only added to public curiosity. In 2017 to 2018, Knapp obtained and aired documents about the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. Among these was a Senate letter from Harry Reid urging continued funding of the program and declassified briefs on UAP encounters by Navy pilots. Knapp's station broadcast raw scans of those letters and memos, inviting viewers to examine them side by side with expert commentary. In 2023, Knapp and Corbell secured testimony from David Grush, a former intelligence officer turned whistleblower. Grush told Congress the US had recovered non-human craft and biologics and maintained secret retrieval programs. Knapp released audio of Grush's interviews, full transcripts and related emails, letting the public hear the claims unedited. Most recently, in early 2025, Knapp published new, high-resolution infrared video of a tic-tac-shaped object filmed by a Navy jet in 2004, but never publicly released in that clarity. The footage showed rapid acceleration and sudden stops. Knapp invited physicists to analyze frame-by-frame velocity data. While none claimed it was definitively alien, they agreed it did not match any known aircraft. Each of these revelations followed a similar path: verify chain of custody, seek expert review, present raw data, and offer critical commentary. Knapp resisted sensational language, preferring phrases like unexplained performance characteristics over alien invaders. That restraint lent credibility in mainstream circles and kept focus on the data itself. Knapp's approach. What makes George Knapp's work stand out is his blend of open-mindedness and journalistic rigor. He does not dismiss extraordinary claims, but he treats them like any other story. He asks for documents, cross-checks witness statements, and brings in third-party experts. He makes his own files available so others can verify or critique his work. Knapp also acknowledges errors. In cases where a sighting turned out to be an experimental drone or ball lightning, he airs follow-ups. He values transparency over protecting his own reputation. That honesty has won him respect from both believers and skeptics. He also stresses context. When Grush or Lazar make dramatic statements, Knapp reminds audiences of the broader political or scientific landscape. He places leaked documents against known budgets, Senate hearings, and declassified reports. That historical framing helps viewers see how a single memo fits into decades of government research. At the same time, he challenges institutions. He files Freedom of Information Act requests, demands answers from the Pentagon's press office, and is not shy about calling out public agencies for stonewalling. His public records requests have yielded thousands of pages of internal emails and test reports that would otherwise remain hidden. Impact of the latest revelations. The term UFO bombshell often refers to Knapp's release of the new infrared Tic Tac footage in 2025. That event drew coverage from major news outlets. When Knapp streamed the footage live on his podcast, download traffic spiked to millions within hours. Social media buzzed with frame-by-frame analyses and debates over whether the object's motion could be explained by any known technology. At the same time, Knapp released internal Navy safety reports showing that pilots experienced temporary disorientation near these objects, and that one incident triggered an automatic safety abort. Those documents had not been publicly released before. They prompted 2 senators to issue letters demanding briefings on unexplained aerial phenomena. In Congress, lawmakers cited Knapp's data in hearings. His released files appeared as evidence in questioning Defense Department officials. While the Pentagon still offered no definitive answers, Knapp's work forced a level of transparency previously unseen. Beyond politics, the public reaction was significant. Mainstream viewers, who had once written off UFO stories, began tuning in. Science podcasts invited Knapp as a guest. University classes on journalism and media ethics adopted his AATIP reporting as a case study in investigative practices. Challenges and critical perspectives. George Knapp's work on UFOs and unexplained phenomena has not been without its critics. From the start, some journalists questioned whether lending airtime to figures like Bob Lazar lent undue weight to unverified claims. Skeptical analysts point out that Lazar has provided no concrete paperwork to confirm his education or employment history, and some details he offered appear inconsistent with known physics. Knapp, for his part, has addressed these concerns on air by highlighting areas where Lazar's account could not be independently confirmed, inviting further scrutiny rather than dismissing it outright. Another frequent criticism centres on David Grush's whistleblower testimony. Grush alleged a decades-long crash retrieval program and recovery of non-human biologies, claims that mainstream defence officials have publicly denied. Critics argue that Grush's allegations rely heavily on hearsay and that no physical artefacts have been produced. Knapp has responded by releasing related emails, internal memos, and hearing transcripts, but he also emphasises that a lack of physical evidence does not necessarily mean the claims are false. It may mean they remain classified. This position drives a deeper debate about balancing skepticism with the possibility of undisclosed government programs. Methodological challenges also arise when working with sensor data from places like Skinwalker Ranch. Paranormal researchers sometimes lack standardized protocols for calibrating electromagnetic or radiation detectors, which can lead to false positives from background sources. Critics note that Knapp's raw data, while extensive, often lacks the kind of peer-reviewed analysis used in academic research. Knapp acknowledges this gap and has invited independent laboratories to test samples and review logs. He argues that private funding, rather than academic grants, financed much of the original work, and that opening archives to the scientific community can bridge this divide. Media sensationalism poses another challenge. Some outlets have taken Knapp's cautious language and transformed it into headlines claiming proof of alien life. Knapp actively pushes back against such hype, repeatedly clarifying that his role is to report data, not to draw final conclusions. He publicly corrects misreported figures, whether a sighting lasted seconds instead of minutes or involved a conventional aircraft wrongly labelled as mysterious. His insistence on precise language has earned trust among a segment of viewers who value clear distinctions between unexplained and alien. A further critique comes from within the UFO community itself. Some independent researchers feel Knapp did not share early NIDS data openly enough, or that he prioritised mainstream media exposure over collaboration with grassroots investigators. Knapp explains that broadcast stations operate under resource constraints and editorial guidelines. He has since taken steps to digitize his archives and make them available online, though he still manages access to ensure data integrity. This balance between open access and data security remains an ongoing effort. Political pressures add complexity. When Knapp released AATIP documents in 2018, some lawmakers worried about national security implications if sensitive details leaked. The Pentagon responded by upgrading review processes for declassifying material. Knapp navigated those tensions by working with legal experts on Freedom of Information Act protocols and by redacting strictly classified sections. Critics applaud his legal caution, but warn that excessive redaction can obscure context. Knapp counters that he publishes unredacted documents when possible, and that redactions reflect genuine security concerns, not intentional concealment. Finally, the broader issue of public trust in journalism influences how Knapp's work is received. In an era of misinformation, viewers often assume that anything labelled UFO must be sensational or fabricated. Knapp confronts this by maintaining separate reputations. One as a mainstream investigative journalist winning Murrow and Peabody Awards, another as a UFO reporter open to unconventional subjects. He believes that citing his hard news achievements reduces stigma and encourages viewers to judge his UFO reporting on its own merits rather than through preconceived bias. These challenges and critiques have not deterred Knapp. They have shaped his approach. He remains committed to transparency, peer engagement, and precise language. By addressing each critical perspective directly on his programs and in public statements, he builds a more resilient platform for reporting on subjects that many still view as fringe. Whether one agrees with his conclusions or not, Knapp's willingness to engage critics and improve his methods underscores a dedication to journalistic integrity in a field often marked by sensational claims and unchecked rumours. Future directions and final remarks. Looking ahead, George Knapp's work on unexplained aerial phenomena appears set to expand further. Emerging technologies offer new tools for analysis. High-resolution infrared cameras, machine learning algorithms to detect patterns in large data sets, and networked sensor arrays that can triangulate fast-moving objects more precisely than ever before. Knapp has already begun partnerships with university labs to apply these methods to archived footage, hoping to distinguish between natural phenomena and truly unknown objects with greater confidence. Congressional interest in UAPs continues to drive change. In mid-2025, a new bipartisan bill was introduced to fund standardized data collection across all military branches and to require regular public reports. Knapp's released files and his public testimony in 2023 helped lay the groundwork for this legislation. He now serves as an informal advisor, sharing first-hand knowledge of how data leaks and whistleblower accounts have shaped public awareness. His ongoing engagement with lawmakers suggests that he will remain a key figure in shaping future transparency measures. Public education is another frontier. Knapp plans to develop an online portal where lay people can access declassified documents, view annotated video clips, and participate in citizen science projects. Such a platform would include step-by-step guides for collecting sighting reports, calibrating amateur sensors, and submitting data for expert review. This crowdsourced approach reflects a broader shift toward participatory science, and Knapp envisions it as a way to build a database that no single institution could assemble on its own. In the media landscape, Knapp's dual role as a seasoned news anchor and a UFO investigator puts him in a rare position. He has discussed launching a dedicated streaming series focused solely on breaking UFO developments, separate from mainstream news bulletins. Early discussions with production teams have focused on balancing on-site field investigations with studio panels of experts, creating a format that educates without slipping into sensationalism. If realized, this series could reach audiences who currently tune out late-night radio or niche podcasts. On the research side, Knapp is exploring collaborations with aerospace engineers and atmospheric scientists. By testing unconventional propulsion theories in controlled environments, these experts could evaluate claims about rapid acceleration or sudden altitude changes attributed to UAPs. Knapp believes that bringing formal scientific experimentation to questions once confined to eyewitness testimony will help settle long-running debates. Joint white papers and peer-reviewed articles are already in planning stages for submission to aerospace journals. Ethical considerations will remain at the forefront of his work. Handling whistleblower testimony requires careful protection of sources, especially for individuals still bound by security clearances. Knapp has consulted with legal advisors to develop best practices for anonymous interviews and secure data storage. He aims to set a standard for investigative journalism that respects both the public's right to know and the personal risks faced by insiders. Ultimately, George Knapp's future contributions will likely hinge on his ability to adapt. As more military reports come online and as new sensor networks detect anomalies in real time, Knapp's role may shift from primary investigator to data curator and public guide. He has spoken of writing a final reflective book, drawing on decades of interviews, documents, and field notes, to offer a comprehensive history of modern UFO investigation. Such a work would serve both as a record of what has been learned and a roadmap for future inquiry. In these ways, Knapp's journey illustrates how a dedicated reporter can transform an obscure fringe topic into a matter of public record and policy. By combining thorough investigation, open debate, and legal savvy, he has carved out a niche that bridges journalism and citizen science. Whether or not the ultimate nature of these unexplained phenomena is ever confirmed, Knapp's methods and archives will stand as a model for transparent, evidence-based reporting in an age when facts can easily be lost amid rumour and hype. If you found this eye-opening, there's a lot more still hidden beneath the surface. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for what's coming next.